Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of No Blood, No Tears, a Korean action thriller from 2002 that was directed by Ryoo Seung-wan. A jaded female cab driver and former safecracker is in trouble with the mob because her loser husband skipped town and owes a huge debt. When she meets the sexy girlfriend of a vicious gangster, an unlikely friendship forces them to take drastic measures to steal a ruthless loan shark's loot. Now, with no options left, they must escape and survive the violent conflicts that erupt between different criminal factions, as well as the cops. It's every man and woman for themselves. So this is one of those movies where you get like multiple characters who collide with each other at different points in the film. And there are also a few moments that kind of flash back and then reconnect to the same scene that was already shown. So it'll show something, two characters will connect, or something will happen with them, and then it'll rewind and show what that second character was doing that led up to that. It does that a few times, I think, in this, which is kind of neat. And there's also some flash forwards to events that may or may not happen in the future. I'm a fan of this kind of storytelling structure because you're not quite sure like which characters are going to tangle with each other. You know what I mean? You just know it's going to get bad. Now the script focuses quite a bit on showing the difficult lives of both of these female characters. I mean, early on, these ladies take a lot of crap from people. Our lead taxi driver has a very rough opening 15 minutes to this movie. She gets into multiple fights and altercations, and even a car accident. And then we have the younger woman who's taking all kinds of abuse from her boyfriend. And the story definitely does set up these ladies' motivation to risk stealing this money from the criminals. Because in their situations, their lives suck so bad that the risk is worth a possible reward. You know, the cash. So they do a good job of setting it up. Now, some people will recognize the actors in this one. There's a few big names in this. Do-yeon, very popular actress nowadays. We've covered her a bunch on this channel. Jae-yeong, who was in Castaway on the Moon, Welcome to Dongmak Gol, Confession of Murder, etc. He's in this, and his character is a real frickin' jerk in this movie. I mean, you want to see him get beaten, you know what I mean, in this. And then we have Jung Do-hong, who we just covered recently when we reviewed Arahan. And he plays a badass enforcer in this, to no one's surprise. And then we have Ryoo Seung-bum, who has a small supporting role. Now, quite ironically, I am not that familiar with the actual lead actress in this film, Lee Hee-young. I looked up her filmography, and I didn't really... there was a few films I've seen from her, but not much. She was in a bunch of older films, like pre-2000s Korean films, which are, more difficult to find. And then she ended up transitioning to television during the 2000s and beyond. So that's probably why I just... this is really the main film that I recognize with her in it. And I think she's been in a few really good television series that I'll have to put on my list. But she is convincingly tough. She has a tough attitude in No Blood, No Tears. So I liked her in this. Then the second half of the film is where it gets really fun. The first half kind of sets things up. You get some violence mixed in, and it sets it up, and then the second half is where the crap hits the fan. Everything goes to hell. And it's pretty fun to watch. I mean, most of the characters are in danger throughout or at certain points, and everyone is basically out for themselves to get this cash and or to, assassinate or, murder people. That's the second half of this movie. So you get a variety of kind of short but sweet action scenes and fights that get pretty violent and bloody, but they're entertaining in their own ways. I mean, some of the characters get wrecked in this film, which is pretty cool to see. I mean, there's an alleyway martial arts fight that breaks out. There's a nighttime foot chase. There's kind of a scrappy apartment fight, a money bag car chase scene, and a steel cage match. We get a steel cage match in this movie, and it's probably my favorite scene in the film. The action design is pretty gritty, which is very consistent with the feel of the film overall. So, yeah, pretty good stuff. There's some effective black humor as well. Early on, there's a shot of a dude getting buried alive at a construction site, and it made me laugh. It was just hilarious how it just kind of cut in and then they cut away from it so fast. The events in this film really should not be funny with some of the plot synopsis and the things that I've been saying have been happening, but it does consistently infuse some effective black humor despite the presence of some like serious conflicts that are going on. So I did kind of like that. It added a little element to it. There's a bunch of twists and a very satisfying ending. We get that element of who has the bag of cash during the second half of the movie. It's like, okay, the bag transitions multiple times, and it's like, all right, does this guy like have the bag, or what happened here? And they kind of rectify that by the end. So that's always kind of like a fun element in a film. So if you're feeling like an early 2000s Korean crime action thriller with some attitude and black humor, I definitely recommend No Blood, No Tears. It's a good early film from this director. And it's easiest to find right now on DVD. Very cheap, too. Especially if you get it, like, used. But you can even get it new for very reasonable prices. So, check this one out. It's a good time. And as always, we will see you next time.